suppose you had used a little bit of your consciousness to address one of the large issues that face us. That would have been very meaningful. And that's why I say an ounce of consciousness is worth a ton of creativity.
Not everyone has made a mark in contrasting fields with great impact. A living example to show that a person can certainly excel in more than one thing. You may say that with this person, there is usually more than what meets the eye. A respected actor in Sri Lankan theatre, television and film, he remains larger than life in character. With over 25 years of experience in the IT industry under his belt and responsible for driving much needed change within the industry. He is the founder and Chief Executive Officer of Enable, Mr. Peter de Almeida.
If you have 30 seconds to reflect on your life, what would you think of? Would you think of what a great career you have had, or the fortune that you may have amassed? But what if instead you had made a contribution to address one of the many inequities that this country and the world faces? Then, and only then, can you truly say, my life was well lived, my life was worth it.
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
It's a pleasure to have you with IEEE Chronicles today. So
Pleasure to be
let's
here.
get started. Thank you. Your name is connected to so many different achievements. Either it's Enable or your acting career or the many other different careers that you have pursued. So for the sake of the audience, let's sum it up. How exactly did you move from all of those and come to Enable today?
So Enable is, I started this 10 years ago with 13 people, and now we have grown to about 200 people. What made me start it, when I came out of Millennium IT, I thought I'll still be in technology. And then I realized very quickly that, lots of companies were spending, a whole, big amounts of money, buying IT solutions. But we really were not able to see the actual outcome from these investments. And we were largely selling to the IT heads. We were not selling them a business outcome. So I thought, we need to change this. And that's why we decided that at Enable, we will, and that's how the name came, we'll enable technology to deliver business outcomes. And then my friend Richard Simon just came up with this name, N*Able. And I thought that was perfect. And the tagline for us is do better business. So we are always trying to see how can technology help people to do better business. So today, we do a bunch of things, but the most exciting thing that I'm engaged with is data. How the work we're doing around data and analytics and predictive analytics. So it's all very exciting times. But we're also broad-based, and we are doing a whole bunch of different things that we never thought we would do when we started. And that's been a hallmark of my life anyway. A lot of unexpected things come along, and then we take it on and do it. So yeah, very interesting, and employing very good engineers. So I feel that the thing I really enjoy about Enable is that we are able to provide these very smart people, engineers, a whole bunch of opportunities so they can constantly learn and grow and improve.
Okay, so now we know the Peter for the successful entrepreneur you are, as well as for your acting, which I'll get to later. So in addition to that, let's get to the personal Peter. How was your childhood like? As I remember, you were part of a family with 11 children.
That's right.
How was it like growing up in such a big family?
Great. You see, we are like you said, 11. My father was 40 when he married my mother, who was 20. And then for the next 24 years, he gave her 11 children. I was the last. So I was 4 when he died. He was 64. So, I was conceived when he was 60, which is my age now. So I can have a child.
Yeah.
So it was, but the thing is, when he died, there was no income. He had a very small, some commissions coming from some insurance work he had done. So 3 of my siblings, my eldest sister was married at that time. So there were 10 children, my mother 11, my grandmother 12, 2 cousins, 14 people in this house, no income. So 3 of my siblings, the 2 eldest sisters, well, not the eldest was married, second and third, and my brother went to work. They had to sacrifice their university education and all that just to keep this family together. So for me, the outcome of that was my father dying. Kind of, I don't know, I don't want to make it sound terrible, but I'm kind of looking back on life. I'm kind of happy that he died. Not happy, but it turned out to be good for me, because my father was a very conservative Catholic, and he would have conditioned my thinking. They said God and this is, and if I said no, do this because God tells you to do this. Limited, no freedom. So I grew up with a lot of freedom. But childhood, nobody bothered with me. My mother didn't come to, scholarship and all that, and come for the parent-teachers meeting. How many marks are you getting? None of that nonsense, So I was completely free. I was good in my studies, but I had so much freedom and could play, and but that was life at that time also. I mean, we'd go to school and not come back till 6 o'clock in the evening. So it was childhood was great. But I also learned very quickly that you have to manage with very limited resources. That also
big enough for how it was when you were small.
Yeah, because we didn't have a lot, right? So you have to learn to manage. So that also kind of, teaches you something. You don't have all the fancy stuff that, rich kids have today. It was good.
You can enjoy life.
Oh yeah, great fun. It's great fun.
Okay, so apart from your childhood, now what did you do right after school? Where did you go from there?
Well, school itself, by the time I was come to my A-levels, I had already been introduced to this trade union is called Bala Thampo, from a big union called the Ceylon Mercantile Union, CMU. Big union, independent union, not affiliated with any political parties. And that exposed me to a different world, to socialism, social consciousness. So at 15, I was exposed, and he was an exceptional man. He had done classics. He knew science, psychology, and he had a vast experience of real struggle, all kinds of actions that he has been involved in, political work and all of that. So for a 15-year-old boy, that was like a whole new world. So when I left school, to answer your question specifically, I was still very much involved in, interested in trade union work. So I joined the bank, not because I wanted to be a banker, because I thought I can do some union work there. And as I joined, I was 19 or 20, I became the president of the branch union at a very young age. And the guy who was the secretary was 20 years older than me. His name is Paul, so Peter and Paul.
Okay.
So we got on well. But when I was 22, I became the treasurer of the Ceylon Bank Employees Union, 16,000 strong, again independent union of bankers. I think I'm the youngest office bearer of a national union at 22. That's what one of my union colleagues told me. So I started the bank. Then I got a little disillusioned with the bank union. I left and I joined my friend who had started East-West Information System, the first IBM distributor. And then, I went along with him. And then another company started, Computerland, brought in a new computer system called Sun Microsystems. They were a very small company, not IBM, but it took a chance. I left the IBM distributor, joined these guys, and launched a whole new type of computing called open computing, which is what is available today, Unix-based computing. I don't want to get too technical, but your listeners, because you're IEEE, you will understand. So it's all open computing. And then Sun Microsystems hired me as their country manager. I was here for about a year. Then they moved me to India to run whole of India and SAARC for their services business. So that exposed me to some very large companies. Again, I had a falling out. I couldn't get along with my boss. The previous boss was a great guy. He died of cancer. And report to a lady from Singapore. She and I never got along. I just packed up everything and came back and started a video production company, which was one of the best at that time, Rap Factory. It was all digital production. We introduced digital production to the country. And then I went to Millennium IT, which actually came out of that Sun Microsystems partnership that I involved in. So I went back there, and then I was the CEO of one of their businesses, which was the systems integration business. The other business was software. And then I was there for about 8 years, and then moved out and started Enable. And right through, I've been involved in acting and in my social work, and maybe we can talk about it. This is another one of your questions that you might have.
Okay, so as you put it, next up is your acting career.
Okay.
We know that you have been admirer of the arts from when you were small, right? So how did you get into acting, and more specifically the Sri Lankan loved teledrama Kumbiyo? How did all of this come about?
Okay, I was acting from the time I remember. Even as a small child, I am always doing something, and when my relatives come, they ask me to perform. So I don't know how it came. Maybe I don't know. I don't know whether you learn these things or you're born with it. I really know. Yeah, yeah. It just and because but again, everybody encouraged me as to sing, and they'll get me to sing, and so I just was constant. Even in school, I remember we used to always organize games, and they're very imaginative games. Where we are a truck and we are hunting rhinoceros, and so I am directing all this, and I was in grade 2. So acting, it just came, and then of course I went to study elocution and got exposed to Shakespeare and drama and all of that. Then got into English theatre. Then somebody asked me to be in a teledrama, a singular teledrama. Then my break came and I acted in Lester James Pierce's Gireya, which became hugely popular. In fact, some people are saying cabinet meetings used to stop to go and listen to other Gireya thiyana yanna one. So, and then of course I did a couple of other things that were Kadulla was very, very good.
That it should happen on such a visit as this is terrible. Yes.
And then Ira Madhyama, the film, and then Kumbio. Kumbio is very interesting because it kind of completely changed the genre of singular teledrama. And interesting story because this director came to me with the script and he said, would like to be in it. I said, I love the script, but I can't. And then he started shooting and again showed me some of the rushes he had shot to entice me. Then I said, sorry man, I'm so busy with my work. And I said, no problem. 3 years later, they started showing Kumbio and I started watching it. And then the director called me and I said, what's up? And I said, it was great, it's wonderful. Who played my part? He said, that's why I came to talk to you. So he kept this part for me. 3 episodes he didn't shoot for 3 years. So when I started acting, episode 48 was being telecast. So I could have died and then he would have found someone at short notice. So yeah, I'm happy I did that. After 15 years, I acted in a television. After the last film I did, it was a very interesting, and I'm so glad
that for everybody who is watching, that character, Mr. Maldini, would not have been the same if it weren't for you.
Oh, thank you. But I needed to prepare. I needed to prepare a lot.
I remember you said you had taken 1 month.
I didn't take a month off work, but I prepared because to get that character, to pull from different characters, and that's right, and craft a kind of a character who would become what I portrayed as Maldini. I'm glad it worked. So.
We are very glad it worked as well.
Thank you.
So apart from that, now we have spoken about Enable, we have spoken about your acting career, your social activism. So how exactly do you tie all of these different career perspectives to your life? What do you think, what role does it play?
Okay, I'll answer it a little differently because I've been asked this question. So what is it? I mean, you do so many different things. Is there something common about you as myself that I bring to these? And I think it starts with, as a child, I told you, I had, imagination and curiosity. Because I think that's what the world is lacking. Not enough people are curious. I mean, after all, Einstein said, I don't have any special talents. I'm passionately curious. And he said, I want to imagine, traveling in a beam of light, just to see what it feels like. And that's how we came up with this wonderful idea that light is not formed by waves, but photons, packets of energy, and breakthrough discovery. So I think it is. I'm curious, and I have a sense of imagination. Where can I go with this? Yeah, and then I push my boundaries. So. And also I stay very engaged. Anything I do, I get fully engaged in it. I never dabble with it on the surface.
That's why you're known for every single career step that you have taken.
Yes, whether it's a best. That's why I never had a career. I never had a career. I just went along. But I was not waiting for a passion. Others have never. I mean, I've never left school thinking I'm going to do IT and I don't have a formal IT training. I don't have a business qualification. I don't have a degree. So I just went along, but whatever I did, even banking, although I was in the union, I would be interested in what is going on So it is that curiosity and that engagement that I think I bring. And like I said, even this role, I need to be curious about it. So, and that's what I try to inculcate in our people. I say your qualifications and all that, excellent. But what the world needs today are people who are two things really: creative, and that comes from curiosity and imagination, and problem solving. Yeah, problem solving. And schools don't teach this. In fact, schools kill creativity. And that's a sad thing, Children are all born with imagination, and then a terrible thing happens, right? We send them to school and they kill them. Now, the scholarship exam we have in Sri Lanka, grade 5, they're teaching children from the time they're 5 years old. And now they have this thing called Daham Pasal, religious schools, which they drag them out of their beds on a Sunday. Sunday children should be sleeping and dreaming. And so you kill them. And, tuition classes from 5 years old. It's a very different childhood to what we had. Yeah. So I don't know whether we are creating people who have the skills for the future. And I'm worried about it. And that's why we need to change our education system. So, yeah, so that's in short, I think that's what I bring to everything I do. A sense of curiosity, push the boundaries, how far can we go with this, and to be engaged in whatever you are doing.
Okay, so on a separate note, Peter, let's talk about IEEE.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you know, IEEE is one of the world's largest professional organizations. It's famous for its technical publications, as well as IEEE standards that can be seen everywhere, as well as hundreds of technical conferences held all over the world.
Right.
So, in your perspective, what do you think should be the role of professional organizations such as IEEE?
That's quite a interesting question, and I was talking to some, in fact, talking to the Institute of Engineers in Sri Lanka the other day, and I was challenging them about their vision and saying, can we be a little more inspiring? And I was looking at the vision of the British Science Association, and they say their vision is of a world where science is at the heart of culture and society. So I think that is what organizations, science and engineering organizations, should be about. It shouldn't be so much like the vision of our engineering Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka. I mean, they may have thought about it at that time, which is to be amongst the leading professional institutions in engineering and technology in the world. That's very limiting.
Yes.
You're saying engineering and technology. No, because you see the point that this Imran Khan, not the Prime Minister of Pakistan and the former cricketer, but the former President of the British Science Association, he says, we must challenge the assumption that the study of science is primarily for the training of future experts. So you are not teaching science so that you become an engineer or you become a chemical engineer. No. He says the core aim of science education, and you can extend that to engineering education, is to ensure students leave school with skills and confidence to discuss and shape scientific and technological advances, whatever their career. So you see, it's a question of, like the British Science says, make science the heart of culture and society, not mumbo jumbo, superstition and all that. There's no, there may be a place for it, but that's not what you want to teach us. That's why I was pleasantly surprised to see the vision of the IEEE, which is actually, you call it mission, but I would think it's more of a vision. IEEE's core purpose is to foster technological innovation and excellence for the benefit of humanity. But still, technology and to foster for the benefit of humanity, to see the connection. A little different to science at the heart of culture and society, a little more inspiring, right? But at least you got the idea. It's not about your career. That's the point. Because you see, that's right. It is something beyond that, and you see, you can study engineering, but you can be interested in other things, and the other way around. Like me, I didn't study engineering, but I'm thoroughly fascinated with science. Now, recently, I'm reading a small book that I urge even you and your colleagues who was watching this to watch it. 7 Basic Lessons of Physics, Carlo Rovelli. I learned more about physics from the tiny book. It's about smaller than this. More about science than I studied through my entire A levels 2 years, particularly about particle physics, and it's fascinating stuff, gravitational field, and it's so easy, we understand. At the A-level class, I was asking questions about Max Planck and Niels Bohr, and the teacher told me, I say, you don't ask these unnecessary questions, you will fail the exam, and I did fail the exam. So, to coming back to your question, it's about, you know, being something that everybody can relate to. So make engineering more appealing to larger numbers of people, not just for engineers. And on that point, I also want to make this point that, again, that I was reading, that he says the way we are teaching science is all wrong. It's segregated. So, you know, you study chemistry, you think I'm going to do something with chemistry. But they said, suppose you teach science around a problem. Let's talk about all the science affecting environment. Then you're studying all kinds of different sciences, biology, the weather, physics. It's fascinating. Then you this is how it all comes together. So there's a meaning and a purpose in what you're learning. So that's how I see the role of organizations like IEEE.
So on a serious note, hard times are something that everybody is familiar with. So in times during your career where you must have faced hard times, what kept you going? What was your inspiration?
Strangely, I have never seen my life as, okay, now I'm in a difficult time and I need to, and I'm not just saying this for effect, I've been asked this question before. I've not found myself, in a situation where, oh my God, this is a very difficult one, I need to draw inspiration. It has never been like that. But I suppose that's because, we grew up, it couldn't have been any harder than the way we grew up. And then I drew inspiration from my mother. I didn't realize it at that time, but I must have picked these up without consciously thinking, oh, now I'm learning this from my mother, because I would have seen how she kept this family together. This one woman, and we used to all take our salary and give it to her. And she takes it, and my salary from the State Bank also came in an envelope. And I give the whole envelope to her, and then I would take money from her every day. So how did she manage all this, And she must have had some tough times. But, when I asked her, she told me, I never worried about life. I said, why not? She said, because I thought God will provide. Such a simple answer, but of course I don't believe in a God. So I, think, okay, it's a challenge we have, and I just, focus on what needs to be done and just move on. So I don't have a particular moment in my life, my God, I had a difficult time. It's never been like that. It's all been a part of my life experience. And even now with the Enable, there was a time we had a very difficult time. But, I said, guys, it's not so bad, there are opportunities out there. We can, and then you try to, if you're leading, you try to inspire people.
To look at everything in the perspective your mother did when she was...
Not consciously, but maybe subconsciously, yeah. So, I just moved along. It's okay.
Okay. So now we'll be going into a small quick fire questions.
Oh dear. Okay.
So just give any random answer that comes to your head. Okay. So Elon Musk or Steve Jobs?
Neither. I don't look at them as they're very arrogant people. They don't have the leadership quality or humility. So neither.
Okay. Favorite holiday destination?
Oh dear. Mongolia maybe. Because I saw some pictures of friends who had posted beautiful, landscape, horses, wild horses and all that. So I was inspired by looking at the photographs he had posted. Yeah.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi. Ronaldo, great guy, great, super player. Messi, more team player. No?
Okay.
So yeah, I like people who give credit to the team. And yeah, a little humble.
Favorite TV series?
Probably Breaking Bad. Yeah, I like that quite a lot, and saw something recently. I was quite taken in by that. I was hooked on it. Yeah.
Maybe coming from the cool side?
Actually, I drew a little from the Breaking Bad character. I made it with different characters. House of Cards, this, Ranil, J.R. Javadana, former president. It's a collage of characters. So yeah, a little bit of Breaking Bad.
When do you usually wake up in the morning?
About 5:30.
Top 3 things that you would like to do next year?
Oh dear. One is definitely to be able to be a part of a movement that can, change one of the big social problems that we're addressing. For example, right now I'm talking about saying, should we just do away with this executive presidential system because of all the problems we are having? We always opposed it. So if I can actually do more of that kind of work and, not be completely stuck with the work that I'm doing in office. Secondly, Oh dear, I don't think about life like that in buckets
Just
of things to
flows.
do. Yeah, I just go along with whatever comes. So I've not thought about it like that. But maybe to inspire young people. If I can spend more time teaching and inspiring young people, for sure. And then third, something for myself, maybe if I can do less work and spend a little time reflecting on myself, not necessarily yoga meditation, but something on those lines, where I can pull back and spend some time, a little more time, just developing my mind a little bit and giving it a little space without running like what we are doing today.
Okay. If you could do anything you wanted right now, what would it be?
Probably let mankind disappear, just completely go, so that this planet can heal, because we have destroyed this planet. We have killed 66% of the species, and we are not good for the planet. Maybe save the tribes that are living in the Amazon forest and all of that, who are still, using sustainability. But definitely, I would like to do that, and let like I said, let the planet heal and grow with people like the tribes who are part of nature.
Favorite movie?
His favorite is a problem. But you have to pick Godfather. I really like Godfather, both one and
Good
two.
choice.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. Whenever it's on a film movie, it's running on a flight, I'll still watch it like for the 20th time. Well
And
crafted
still
movie.
be the
Oh, it'll be
same
absolutely
film.
brilliant.
Okay. What does your perfect day look like?
The idea of perfect itself is a problem for me, because if it's perfect, then there's nothing more beyond that. So if you had a perfect day, then it's gone, it's finished, and then you can't have another perfect day.
Yeah.
So a good day would be a day in which I have spent time with a bunch of young people, or engaging in a conversation, even if it's an hour, half an hour conversation, and if I have in some way inspired them, I would go home feeling really great. I'd feel, "Yeah, that was a good day."
Okay. So that's that. I think you're happy that it's over.
It was not rapid fire. I was taking so long to
That's
answer. I'm
fine.
sorry, I messed up your whole
No, that's
format.
fine.
My apologies.
Okay, so next, we all have regrets, right? Things that we wish that hadn't happened.
Right.
So if you could go back to when you were 18, what do you think you would do differently?
Again, a question that has been asked before, and I don't mean to be arrogant. I don't ever mean to say that I've never had, anything that, that didn't go well. But something, Parushi, I really don't look back on life like that, and I wouldn't try to change anything. I really wouldn't, because the decision you took at that time, with the maturity you had, with the information you had, with the that was the decision to make. And if you didn't make bad decisions, then you would never have learned. And I never thought about them as bad or good decisions. They were decisions. And why would I change that? Then my life would be so boring. It would be so perfect. Then I'd clean up everything. So I really don't think of life like that. So I wouldn't change anything. Yeah, and you never look forward by looking hindsight. You never have the advantage of hindsight when you're making decisions. So I really don't think of what would have changed. I probably would not have changed, and because I'm come to a good place. Yeah. So if I took a different decision, my path would have gone on a complete, and I would be sitting here talking to you. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the final question for the day.
Right.
Something that has been on my mind the entire time. So, Peter, what's next? What do you have planned for the future? How do you think it will be like in another 10, 20 years?
Tarushi, the thing is, we have leave my career and all that, and now I'm 60. I'll probably come to the end of my working career as such. But you see, there are so many iniquities in this world today, and we leave it to the politicians, and say, sort it out. We go and vote in election, and when they don't do it, we are very frustrated. And then they say, look at this fellow we appointed, he's a useless, mindless fellow and all that, because we have hopes in them. I'm saying, but can we leave the large problems facing humanity to people like Maldini, my character, or these politicians who are manipulating and, who are there only for their own good, serve their own interests? So for me, what's next is to, try and see that I can myself be more involved in addressing at least one or two of these inequities that this country faces. Take the kidney disease, that's affecting largely the rural community, chronic kidney disease. Thousands of people have died. 15, 20 years have gone. They still don't know what's causing it. At one time, the country needed 1,000 dialysis machines. We had 180. 1,000 dialysis machines would have cost us 2 billion rupees. We spent 4.5 billion building a cricket stadium in Suryababa, part of Sri Lanka, where there is, in the rural area, hardly a cricket match is being played. Is it all right for us to be indifferent to this kind of, yeah? So I'm saying, be engaged and that's what's next for me. I want to spend more of my time rather than talking, to actually get involved and do something about some of these things. And that's what I will probably do next.
Thank you, Peter. That was so inspiring, and it was a pleasure talking with you. So thank you for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you, and I'm glad you invited me. It's an honor to be a part of the IEEE Chronicles program, and I wish you good luck and all the best. Thank you. Cheers.